Welcome to this podcast called Unveiling Her Story, Conversations with a Goddess. I am your host, Julia, and I'm a visionary, mom, wife, mentor, tantrika, truth seeker, creator of more than 5 million euros in sales, and owner of this amazing coaching business since 2017. With my brand, Julia Spiritual Living and Luxury Goddess, and this podcast, I support you in exploring your womanhood, your femininity, your real feminine force, in a way that leads you to becoming who you came here to be, to fulfill your soul's purpose, be a sovereign human being, and become free, alive, and blissed out. In this podcast, we're going to poke this matrix and dismantle history, to shine light on her story, our story, to explore union and peace inside and out. How else will we operate beyond what we are told and build our reality anew, the feminine way? Let's peek behind the curtain and play beyond this matrix to find out how freaking exciting it is to co-create your reality as the powerful woman you came here to be. Welcome to a new episode with the title, The True History, in quotation marks, the true history about this earth. And what I want to say first is that I'm sharing my perspective. I'm sharing what I think is possible, what I can grasp as possible, and what feels right in my body. If in my body, in my intuition, this feels true. But I never ever think that this is the truth and you must believe this. I'm not here to convince you, and I also don't think this is the ultimate truth. Also, this is not a scientific episode or podcast. So whatever I'm sharing as possibilities, I'm sharing so that you can imagine this narrative. You can feel into the narrative or even the metaphor. Feel into the image, into the picture, into the story, to then feel into what resonates. So it's more about opening your heart, letting this in to just really feel how it resonates in your body. How do you interact with this episode, and what does it do for you? In what way does it serve you? And to really be open to find out about that. So that is what we're doing. I have my doors open to the jungle river and the jungle mountain, and my son is right now playing with his friend in the river on the stones that are being super loud. So if you hear kids like screaming or something like that, or the river rushing, then I'm just taking you into my life and not closing the doors and sweating inside and allowing myself to record this. So it's really nice for me, and I hope the audio is good for you, of course. All right. I think everything is clear and we can now start. So where I want to start is that the way I view this whole life on earth thing is very different from how I viewed it when I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. When I turned 11, it was September 12th, 2001, and we had just had the World Trade Center attack the day before. And I remember that back then I was still very much believing everything that was said on TV. I was very much people pleasing and very contracted in my being, and very much in the movie of the director of the whole script, but not directing my own movie, my own life, right? I was 11. I mean, I was young. And the more I went about my life, I got so many signs and met so many people and checked out so many documentaries and books and all the things, that my worldview shifted. So much so that I see this whole thing more than like a simulation, more like a movie that each of us directs for their own life. And yeah, I really like this matrix that you get to see and escape. And not even escape, but like just operate beyond it. And that's really why I'm sharing this too, because my work is about trauma integration, to be happy on earth, but to really feel free in your body, have all this life force energy inside your body, have it all flowing, and love this life and co-create whatever you want, really access the abundance that is all around, that is our birthright, that is the truth that there is. And so understanding, or even just listening right now and thinking and contemplating and feeling into your perspective and truth, and if anything wants to change right now or evolve, or you want to think about anything, to me is just this beautiful step and this beautiful possibility for more trauma integration, more aliveness in your body, more bliss, more power, more access to abundance, because there's even less restriction in this way. There are even less reasons why you cannot do something, or it couldn't be this or that, or why anything couldn't happen. With what I'm sharing today and the way I feel about it, we're so free, we're so powerful. It's all made up, and we all make it up. And so let's play even more. And that's really my core message. My core message is not to now have a bunker and go under the earth and have your food prepared and sit there and be fearful about what anyone in the outside might do. It's not that, because we're never powerless. It's always a story. It's always a narrative if we think that. But rather to know, and that's what I, just inviting you into, that's why I'm sharing this, at least. That's my intention, is for you or for us to feel like, oh my gosh, this is even more like a game or a computer game. Let's go. Let's have fun. Let's just expand. Let's just find out what we want to do. Like, let's think even less and reflect down even less. Like, should I really? Am I allowed? Can I do this? I don't know. And just listen to ourselves even more, sharpen our intuition even more, and just go and play and have fun on this earth, express, be powerful, and go, and that's the message. And that's why I'm sharing all this. So here we go. So I'm going to start sharing a few things about what I believe happened on planet Earth, or to planet Earth, but it's less about, again, like I said, less about this is what happened. And, you will ask me then, how can you scientifically back it up? No, because that's not the point. So I'm just going to give you a few images, metaphors, and everything to just dive into possibility and into stretching your mind and questioning the matrix, what you see, what you believe of this world, to then co-create something even greater. So I believe that we had a time on earth where we were already in unity as men and women, feminine and masculine energies. We were already in a fifth dimension plus kind of vibe, and, in peace, and in equilibrium, and everything was great. And these were also the times of like Atlantis or Avalon. And then, and I believe this is like thousands of years ago. I believe this must be really long ago, long ago. And what I think happened is that interdimensional beings were interested in planet Earth because they couldn't really access this planet. I believe there's so many different beings and planets, and also life on all the different planets, like the Pleiadians, or the Andromeda, Andromedans, basically, and Arcturians. I think there's many different species. And I believe it's, I mean, I don't want to say like anyone is if they believe this, like what we can believe whatever we want to believe. And I do not judge anyone. I'm just like being a philosopher here and just questioning things and just interested in what could be. And, that's it. But I do believe that it would be just crazy to think that there's no other life than life on Earth, And I do believe that there's many planets in different stages of ascension and descension, and the process, especially of ascension. And I do even believe that there's a few more planets, or maybe even many more, like Earth, where it's 3D. But I do believe that it's very, very special right now what's possible here on Earth, that we have 3D and the possibility of 5D and plus, like many multi-dimensions are possible for us to access here. And I do believe that there's, like I said, many, many different beings. I do believe that there's a species that could either be the Martians from Mars or the reptilians. And for example, what I feel and or know about the reptilians is that there's so many amazing beings as well, but there's also those that are, because they're all quite smart, they like really want to use that knowledge in their mind, and so they're being sneaky and they're being manipulative. And I do believe that back when this Earth was already ascended, they kind of proposed to the, may it be like a galactic council, that they wanted to do an experiment. They wanted to experiment that what if the Earth descended into a lower dimension, and everyone has the free will to incarnate here on Earth and find their way back to ascension. And then there was rules about this. So we're changing a few things, but everyone gets to remember, and they're not allowed, for example, to just manipulate. They have to always tell humans what they're doing, and they're going to control it a little bit, but they're not going to be allowed to just reign over humans. They have to tell them everything they're doing and all those things. And so I do believe that, I do believe even before that the reptilians actually before that weren't able to access Earth, but because there was kind of like dimensional, like interdimensional glitch, they were able to access it. And if you want to know more about this, what I highly recommend is, or if you just want to like stretch your mind, and question things and just think, just not immediately go into our brain that judges, she watched too many like movies that go in this direction, or like this is the weirdest thing, or this is all a conspiracy, but rather go into, like, let me just think. Like, no one's trying to convince me. I don't have to change my mind. I don't have to believe anything. Let me just stretch my mind, and that's it. So again, if you want to just explore more, I can recommend two things. First of all, spirit science. spiritscience.org, I believe it's is the webpage. I'm gonna just link it under this episode, and it's really cute because it's like made, like it's drawn, and then it's like a voiceover, and there's even a story around this, and so you could check it out if you want. And also I recommend Gaia TV, or Gaia. I think Gaia TV. Yeah, but I'm gonna put the link under here too. It's like the Netflix for those things, right? For spiritual things, and like digging deeper into what maybe happened. And I can particularly recommend Ranvelo Melchizedek, his books, and then also on Gaia TV, Greg Braden, Missing Links. Like, this is just wow, like an outstanding line of work that he has achieved. And to really follow this is just, it really stretches your mind and expands and just crashes this matrix, and like, you can't stay stuck in a matrix like that, which is so cool, because then you're like, well, I don't have to obey or believe anything that someone tells me. I don't have to fear something that, someone says I should fear. I can really co-create this thing, and it's just amazing. So anyways, coming back to the idea of any kind of storyline. So they found their way to Earth, which usually they shouldn't even have, because they're fourth dimensional beings. And if don't know anything about the dimensions, we have the third dimension, which we're in. So here we have war and peace, and we have love, but we also have hate. We have all the contrast, right? Whereas in the fourth dimension, we have the beings that, for example, are dead, and we have all sorts of ghosts and people who even have ascended, or like masters, but we also have those beings that are kind of stuck. And this is kind of how the reptilians get to 3D, like through 4D. And so when I hear coaches in the scene, like in the coaching scene, say like, visualize something in 4D and like materialize it here in 3D, I always feel like, no, let's not do that. Because if we ever work with 4D like we can, if we go into the Akashic records, then we can talk to ascended masters and our spirit team and talk to spirits which are in the realm. That's amazing, but we have to make sure that we're protected and that we let everyone know and use our free will and say, only the beings of love are in my field, so that you do not have any other energies in your field that you don't want to have, or any kind of entities, like you want to make sure you just like don't even call them in, or you make sure like they're not invited. And so to me, that's the fourth dimension. Then the fifth dimension is where we're going above that, which is the angels, and then where we leave kind of the concept of Earth and the rules and laws that we have here, like gravity or time. And then we go into the higher dimensions, which is then where we are at source, love. This is who we truly are. And there is no limit to like the expansion in love, but also there is no flip side. There is no bad entity. There's only love, because in the end, any bad entity just has forgotten that they're love. But when they return to love and we're in that dimension, there's only love. And so these beings always just want to, come back. So this to me is what we want to work with, like 5D and plus, any dimensions over 5D. And we want to make sure that when we're in 3D, which we are, right? We're in the body, we're here, that we don't fall into the trap of the illusions that scarcity is real. It's not. Abundance is real. And scarcity is a human made up thing. So we have to remember the truth of abundance. Same with love. We have to remember the truth of love and understand that fear is just the absence of love, right? Same with separation. We are all connected. We are all one. And whenever we compare or judge anyone, really they're just an expression of a part of us that we're suppressing. But in the end, they're mirroring us, something to us. And we actually are building our own reality in this moment, where we are wanting to see what we're seeing and feeling, like wanting to feel what we're feeling, so that we can experience ourselves in this way. And if we're experiencing judgment or jealousy or envy or anything like that, we're in the separation, and we're forgetting that actually we cannot be separated. We aren't. We're one. So that's what we want to understand in 3D. And I personally only work in 4D if I like, basically, right? I'm just breaking it down. Like anyone who's more into the science would be, this is wrong, maybe, right? But I'm giving you metaphors. I'm trying to explain it easily the way I understand it. So don't pin me down on these things. I'm just really offering a different perspective here to stretch our minds, like I said. So again, if I work with any sort of fourth dimension, I only do this in a way where I say, I'm protected. We're only working with beings of love. And then we can look into this kind of realm, the spirit realm. But we want to make sure we're only, accessing our guides and mastered and ascended beings, but we're not inviting in entities that that kind of just lost their way to love. And I mean, if we ever feel that kind of entity, we're just saying, find your way back to love. Thank you. So mote it be, so be it, just we're using our free will and our power to decide and know that what we say is true. Okay, so coming back to the experiment. So those beings, the reptilians, it could have been reptilians, Martians, those beings made it happen that the experiment started on Earth and that we all forgot and that we were descending into a 3-dimensional world where we believed that there's separation and scarcity and fear and all the things. And kind of like a galactic council or something was there when this was decided. And this is also why I believe that nothing can really happen finally in the end, because before this gets too intense, they're gonna come in, because we can't have the universe out of balance, if this affects the universe, this can't happen. So if ever this experiment goes wrong entirely, something's going to happen and it's all going to be okay. This is what I believe. And I do believe that we, forgot, and the femininity was oppressed, suppressed, the patriarchy began to rise, and with the system of this experiment, the reptilians, the Martians, whoever it was, started to control everything and really go into this logical plan. How can we control people? How can we make them obey? How can we do that? And we all know that what way is better than separation, than fear, especially the number one tool that is always used in any kind of war, in any kind of situation, is either fear of death or a fear of sickness. And in the end, the fear of sickness leads to fear of death. We have that in any kind of tool. If we were to look at planet Earth like a movie, and we were to look at every kind of war and pandemic and all those things like kind of means of style to write a movie, direct a movie, and make a movie, we could see, that makes sense, right? To always use those tools so that there's these scenes and we have the play with fear. And so I believe, it all got suppressed, and I think we've been in this for thousands of years, and that's why it's so hard to remember and it's so hard to grasp, and there's so much programming and there's so many generations too of this is planet Earth, this is a life in a woman's body, in a man's body, like this is how this looks, this is how it feels, and we're just so automatic and so functioning and just kind of just in this stroll of life, not questioning what else is this meant for, like is this true, and is this good, is this great, like is this what we want? And I do honestly believe that they are in place to control, but I also don't think, and also don't feel like I am in any shape or form powerless, because that would only be, again, the forgetting of our power and of the truth, because the truth always is love, is abundance, is connection. And it is always us being in power, each of us, for our life, and having our free will, being a sovereign being. So if ever or whenever I talk about these things or, just feel into them, it's never from a place of powerlessness. It's never from a place of, oh my gosh, now we, can't travel anymore and we don't want to have a passport and, just let's not watch anything they're putting out or whatever. The contrary is the case to me. It's like, you're not going to look at all of that. Just we have to be conscious and don't take it so seriously or don't believe anything. But rather really always discern and be sovereign beings and really feel into our intuition. Because if we remember that, that's something they cannot suppress. And I even believe it's not a war, like only in the 3D dimensional field we can look at it as a war. And yes, it can feel like a spiritual war, maybe even like an intergalactic war. And in one perspective, that might feel true or is true. But on the other hand, it is the possibility for us to remember. It is a way for us to incarnate and just experience ourselves and remember and awaken to all of this. And whatever of this feels true, however you awaken in your life to your power, to your sovereign being, to your intuition, to your wildness, to your freedom, however that looks for you, because, I can't know, I won't know. That's not how it works. So it's just, to me, it's just, woof, I'm in such a computer game. I didn't even know, like I'm in such a simulation. I didn't even know, wow, that's so cool. Let me wake up to my sovereign being. Let me discern. Let me look into and feel into how I can co-create this even more and have fun here even more and raise the frequency of earth even more by like fun and my truth and living my truth, a power, anything that's truth, like true power, anything that is power in service to love. Anything that is power in service to love raises the vibration of this planet and kind of like defeats their game, which again, not saying anyone who is above me and we're like doing this war, but rather, it's rather this possibility for us to remember, like this really unique opportunity that we have on earth that I believe we don't have anywhere else in the universe. And it's a special and unique opportunity for us to really remember and use that power wisely in love and really rise in it. So that's what I personally believe is going on. And I do believe that in order to even be here on planet Earth, and this is kind of like the bad part, so if this is triggering to you, just take deep breath or skip this part or stop listening here if, things can get triggering to you and for your nervous system. But I do believe that these beings only can stay here through a very low vibration. I just listened to David Icke's last audiobook, his last book, and he's calling this loosh production. So basically fear production. So whenever there is the energy of fear, intense fear especially, then they kind of have their food, basically. And it is interesting to think about that, because if we look at any kind of media and any kind of films that have been produced by Hollywood and so on, there's always, they made up these characters. They made up vampires. They made up beings that feed off other beings' energy. So it's interesting to see and look at the agreement that they had with the Galactic Council, that they always have to tell us everything. Because maybe they do. And I believe they do, but not in a direct way. They're not going on TV and saying, this is what we're doing to you. But rather they're doing movies and letting us know through movies. Whereas, any being on Earth or most people, let's just say most people say, you think that's the truth? You watch too many movies, right? And so it's just a smart, manipulative way of telling us the truth. And when we again look at, there's so many hundreds, thousands of years that this experiment has been going on. It's kind of hard to just, see that as the truth after all this programming. But also, the earth is ascending again. And we can feel this. And we can feel this in our beings. So we are attuned to our fields and the things we're hearing. Like we have a frequency and we're vibrating on a frequency. And so whenever we're hearing something, we are vibrating with this frequency or not. We're resonating or not. We're feeling this is true or not. And so what they're underestimating is the power of our intuition and our, just really sovereign being to tune into truth in our unique way. And so even after all those years, hundreds of thousands of programming, it doesn't matter. We can feel something's true or not. We can feel the truth. We're like just really attuned to our intuition and even our, higher, kind of like higher selves and connection to where we come from to source. And so on one way, they're making it so hard and it can seem so hard. And on the other way, it can be so easy the more we really are devoted to this path of ascension and awakening and ascension through descension, in my opinion, my path, like the tantric path, because it's really about living 5D plus, but in 3D, right? Because other than that, it is bypassing. Again, it's trying to avoid or flee this earth, like this life. But that's not the idea. The idea is that you decided you want to be here, and either you leave because you decide your time is over, or you stay and you fully immerse yourself in this human experience. So coming back to the bad part, to just really end it too, is that, yeah, they're needing this low vibration energy, and that's why we're having that much war and people dying literally from hunger, and even, I wanted to say worse things, but I mean, how can we compare? Like, this is horrible. And I cannot even imagine, because I have the privilege to be safe and all the things. So, but there's even more intense states of fear that they're putting people into, you know, may it be rape and abuse and just all the horrible things. Human trafficking is one of the biggest markets that, this world actually has, and that's how they're being able to stay here. So the more we as individuals go into the frequency of truth, which is love, abundance, connection, and we know it's true, and we make it true because we know it's true, and we're tuning to that rather than feeling powerless when there's fear. We're in power. And it doesn't mean that you can't feel what you're feeling if you're feeling fearful, for example, or just so sad about what's happening in this world, which, you know, how can you not? We're human beings. And it's about feeling all the while remembering who you truly are. And basically that at the same time, without bypassing that you're feeling the grief. And also without forgetting that you are love, and everyone's love, and everyone decided as an experiment to be a soul and experience themselves in a human body here on earth, which I personally believe is the truth, or is what's happening, you know, just as how I resonate. And if you believe something else, I'm happy to hear it, you know, it's also interesting, but that's what I believe. So that to me is really what it's all about. And that's also my focus on my work: trauma integration, nervous system regulation, how are we loving it in our bodies, how are we being alive here, spiritual awakening, abundance, all the things, how we crack the codes to this matrix and beyond, so we co-create like the greatest thing. And that's really what it is for me, because that is the key. But why I am sharing the flip side of it all too is that I personally believe it is, you know, to me, it really feels like in the movie Truman Show, because we perceive this to be, you know, the world, and this is how it is. But really, it's this kind of show, and we're seeing, whoa. I'm playing a character, and it's being directed. And I mean, that's what we're awakening to, and remembering, woof, I'm directing my movie. Yes, that's the one thing. But also, I do believe that most people in power, in like politics and the music industry and film industry, and many of them are into this thing, and they might not even know, you know, they might be manipulated, but they do all kind of work on that symbolism, and they do all, as I believe and really feel that is the truth, have to do some sort of rituals to just have kind of contracts, kind of like selling your soul to the devil. And I do believe that's what's happening. And so why I'm saying that is to just be aware of, you know, any kind of big star. They might just be in on that game, and it might not be the best thing to just worship them, because you might unconsciously give them energy. And so I just think it's good to be aware and feel into all of this, and not be too, oh, this politician's so great, or this singer is so great, you know, take them as an example. Well, I don't know, you know, if we all knew they were the devil, would we say that then? And so I think it's helpful to just really discern and feel into that, you know. That's why I like to share it here too. If this is all new to you, I think it's a great opportunity to just, like I said, think, contemplate, question, do like a philosophy kind of thing for you out of it, to see, you know, how do I want to relate to this? And for me, the good part of it all is that we are ascending again. Like there's no other way. And love is the ultimate truth. And fear in the end is just the absence of it. Like as true as it is here on earth, because we can feel so much, and it's just horrible to see what can happen and what does in fact, happen and goes on earth. In the end, love is true. And so we ultimately don't have to worry. I really believe that. I truly believe that, actually. And if we look at, again, last episode, for example, real femininity, it's about letting go of that control, especially the OCD behavior we women have, and trying to already know what's going to happen and lead the situation instead of learning safety and sovereignty so that we can also surrender into this life and even liking the unknown and wanting to be in touch with the unknown, because then we can surrender to this whole process and experiment in this life even more and lean into our truth and what that means and how we feel and how we are here in our truth. Because that to me is what kind of like our responsibility is. Self-responsibility is personal power, is feeling your truth, speaking your truth, being on this planet like you want to. Yes, take it seriously, but in the end, have so much fun and like make it yours, because I do believe that the highest frequency on earth is truth, fun, like loving this experiment, loving this life, feeling sovereign, feeling powerful. Not more powerful than anyone, but for yourself, you're the most powerful being. So nothing can be more true than what you believe for you. Just, I think, again, we're stuck in the 3D illusion, and on this whole experiment, we're stuck when we're saying whatever you're doing hurts me. I think that's where also, to me, always it felt kind of wrong with all the narratives of this earth, like the reasons of climate change, for example, or like the pandemic or whatever, that, if I don't wear a mask, then you're hurt. I think that's in itself, it can only be an illusion, because if I'm a sovereign being and I'm living my truth, that cannot hurt you. Like it literally can't hurt you. It can trigger you, it can be hard for you to see and feel into, but it can, in the end, because you're a powerful being and a sovereign being, only turn into power for yourself, like power in love. I truly believe that. And so even these kind of narratives that are shown then, on TV, media, whatever, and are spread fear, in my opinion, in themselves, they don't make sense to me in regards to spiritual laws. So I just think that's so interesting to look at. And again, I don't get stuck in conspiracy in a way where I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, and I'm researching everything and what's happening, because then I quickly do go into this frequency that's very low and that's fearful, and that's not what I'm doing and what I want. Like I, researched once, I really, really dug deep once, as we all, or a lot of us know, you can get stuck in that rabbit hole quickly, but then that's it. And now I'm taking all the lessons from it and looking at, if I do want to donate money, then to me, it's where human trafficking ends, for example. That's where I donate, which one of the best companies here is ourrescue.org, for example. I love that, the work that they're doing. It's actually, there's also a really good movie that was done about this, the person, Tim, of the organization. And it's interesting because if you were to look at watching the movie, you'd be like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's like intense scenes, I mean, human trafficking, that's a hard one. But then no, because they didn't make the movie like Hollywood does it, where you're traumatized, like when you watch Disney movies and you're just traumatized because, the father dies and the uncle kills and all the things. No, it's actually trauma informed. It's trauma sensitive. And so you don't have these moments of surprise that get you in your nervous system. I forget the movie's name, but I'm going to put it in the show notes as well, so you can watch it if you want and support it. There's also another documentary that I found super interesting. It came out in the times of Corona. I'm going to Look it up as well. I kind of forgot that name as well because it's a long time ago, but I did watch it if you want to go more into the 3 dimension of it all, but it's not necessary, Again, the most important part is what can we take from it? And then, if we really were to resonate, or if you were to resonate with what I shared, then it would just be about not just believing TV narratives or like putting stars on a pedestal. Because if they have some sort of contract with the devil, that's not who you want to look up to, right? So these kind of things that you would take away, or whatever it is that you take away and say, yeah, okay, I might overthink that. And then in the end, again, it comes back to personal power. Because if we were to dig deep and then just feel powerless, that's not the point. Then we're kind of playing their game and they're winning it. So it's about the power. It's about the love. It's about the connection. It's about the abundance. This is where the freedom lies. This is where you're contributing. And again, feel all the feels. Like, feel it all. We're here to feel. We're feminine beings, and we got to feel. We got to just move through it. But don't make it true. Like, it's one thing to feel. It's one thing to make your feelings true and say, those are true. Those are my identity. This is the truth of this earth because I'm feeling it. No, just feeling it. You're moving energy through you. That's great. But that's all that it is. So don't make it mean anything else. All right. I'm going to leave it at that. There's so many more things I could say, but I'm going to leave it at that to not make it too intense and like heavy. So if there's anything you do want to know, or you do want me to speak on, or just, kind of like discuss, or just kind of like, it's just, for me, it's philosophy and just stretching our minds. So if there's anything you'd like me to speak on, let me know on Instagram or YouTube, or just the contact possibilities that there are. I hope you did enjoy this episode. I hope, it made you think or stretched your mind. Maybe you knew all these things already, checked out all these things. That's perfect. And, take from it what you will and see what kind of puzzle part you collected today. And I will talk to you next week. That was today's episode of Unveiling Her Story, Conversations with the Goddess. I hope this episode and the whole podcast serves you. And if it does, I invite you to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or rank the podcast 5 stars on whatever platform you listen. And or subscribe, comment, or share. Whatever feels right to you, so we can let all the women, all the truth seekers, tantrikas, priestesses know that this podcast is here to serve and support them as well. You can find information about current offers in the show notes. And if you have any questions, just shoot us an email to info@juliasspiritualliving.com. Connect with me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. You can find links and social media handles in the show notes as well. Thank you from one woman to another. I deeply appreciate you seeking pleasure in this life and rising for you, your immediate surrounding, and for this whole world that we are co-creating. I'm so looking forward to our next encounter. Yours, Julia.